here in the Hollywood Hills.
There's a chair on that roof for some reason.
Hey, you didn't see that episode of Breaking Bad?
I did not. What I did see is the last 2 maps in the series, which didn't look too good for Globe Esports, so let's see what they can do. Xenofly back on the Sombra. Talon starting out on a load of DPS as Bashful and Patapan this time in the lineup.
And good pressure already forward here from Talon. Global Esports aren't really in a nice spot here, unfortunately, and it's going to be very easy for Talon to start getting the run around on them. You are already seeing the fruits of that. Good counter pressure onto Muse, but he never really comes into threat of death, and as they push forward, they leave Faith a little bit too exposed. He goes down, now Little Rax, and Talon just set it up beautifully. Global Esports play right into their hands.
So many low members on Global Esports, and every single time Muse swings through them as the Wrecking Ball, one more member just gets low enough to be picked off, and then Luke is down, Xeno flies down, that's the point over.
I wish my hamster was that dangerous.
You have a hamster? How have you kept them from me this whole time?
Because he's so docile. You've never noticed? If my hamster was anywhere near as devastating as Muse's, then I would be king of the world.
As far as I know, hamsters are illegal in New Zealand anyway. So, Esports.
Actually might be, now that I think about it.
Bashful getting it slipped over here. Could that be a cleanup?
No,
we do need to see a cleanup.
He's just happy for the break, really. It's like, you know, I needed a nap.
Director yells cut. He's taking a bit of a lie down.
Yeah, hey.
Patapan with the EMP ready to go.
My star needs a break. That's a hack on Gogora, though. Much more successful one. They will be able to finish him off, but...
Commit? No.
He was considering it, actually, and maybe could have even, because they did kill Xenofly, but they'd rather take the patient play, just get back on the payload. Now they're going to get aggressive with the EMP and looking to get the follow-up as Global Esports dive in, but because Global Esports were the more preemptive of the two with the dive in,
Bashful.
Instead, Talon had to back up, and yeah, again, playing... I mean, this dude, he needs a lot of sleep.
Let's see what damage he can do now. Storm arrows out on the field, and that was Global Esports' attempt now. 4-man EMP.
And Xenofly is the first casualty from it, which is a bit rough to say the least. Bashful goes down, Muse as well. So Global Esports have actually done the work necessary here. After this one, though, I do expect Talon to just kind of regroup and push back in.
And this is now where you need to see some successful pushes. The Gogora looks like he'll change. He'll lose the Rocket Barrage here and just give it away for free. In fact, Global Esports have successfully just survived against the snowball pressure from Talon, who will just now be relying on an EMP. Patapan's, I believe, second of the game so far for Global Esports now. What will their next defense look like? High ground advantage.
Does feel a bit like a Padawan. He's quite young now, but one day when he gets older, he'll be a Jedi Master. Patapan, again, a good EMP. Luke already down. He was the only one not hacked from it, actually. It's still a 1-for-1 trade, so these have actually not been the cleanest fights here for Talon, and Global Esports are holding on. However, the cart is now starting to move again as the pressure continues.
Yep. That's the thing. Point control super important here. Global Esports they can end up backing out. Xenofly is still super low. In fact, might have a few members cleaned up here if they're not too careful.
They're doing a good job, a better job at least now of not just losing lots of members. I say that as Xenofly goes down, but that's not what I mean. Their members are getting low. They're not dying, but they are still having to back up. So Talon is still getting point progress, and that's a 1-for-1 trade. And Global Esports have committed a sound barrier into the play already. That's actually good for Talon. They're doing this without ultimates. Again, a 1-for-1, and Global Esports have decided to not commit anything, and that decision may have cost them.
Global Esports put the sound barrier in, and that wasn't enough. That didn't give them enough life. That didn't give them enough pressure to actually win this fight. Talon were trading equally without needing to use anything else themselves. They didn't have to respond with a EMP or sound barrier or anything else of their own. They just said, yeah, you're not going to win here. We're going to come back in, and for Global Esports, it's not good enough.
And that's the thing, it may be that Global Esports are, you know, backing off before losing members now, but when they decide enough is enough and commit to the fight, Talon is still coming out the better end of it every single time. This is looking already to be the same with Xenofly already down, not able to use his EMP. Nicely placed self-destruct by Mango Jai, but Lil Rax down, the grab is there, keeping Luke pinned down as his Primal Rage now ends. He's having to jump away to dubious safety. That is a good EMP, but sound barrier's there to answer it. Xenofly already low, nearly dead in fact, and Talon haven't realistically been repelled from this fight, from this cart yet.
They just are not losing any members. In fact, they're fragging so hard despite receiving an EMP. Talon even got self-destructed. You can see Gogora got caught in that one, lost half his HP, got blown across the map, but lived to tell the tale. Puts down his own Graviton Surge, still alive now. Xeno Flux being caught as they're trying to back out Global Esports and not catching a break.
And like I said, as soon as Global decide enough is enough, they go in, they still don't end up winning the fight. Talon are just looking that good. They look unflappable.
And it's honestly, it's difficult to sort of see where, okay, where's that breaking point? Because Talon really should be losing members. Talon really should be losing fights when they're receiving ults like that. Now Patapan's going to respond.
Yep, and he goes right on top of the tanks that were looking to get aggressive, which means that aggression ends up being kind of punished. Now Xeonflux, not where he needs to be standing at all. He will pop down a biotic grenade, but it just prolongs the inevitable. And that's, again, a very clean fight win for Talon.
It's a 5-man EMP, followed up by Sleep Dart onto Xenofly as well. And for Global Esports, had, unfortunately, not a lot of real chance there up against a huge ultimate play, and this is what you need. When you drop an EMP, you should be cleaning up fights. But Talon do it, Global Esports haven't been able to.
And oh, look at that. The cart's nearly at the terminus. Grab comes out from Gagora. Muse is being a little bit careful and just diving right on in to do the damage. Instead, they look to wrap around, separate out Luke. Nice bubble onto Muse, so Luke is way too far forward where he, I mean, I say that, he's close enough to his spawn, but yeah, hey, let's see what he can do.
This one I don't have faith in.
I mean, usually he is an incredibly good player, but apparently not quite a carry on the Lucio. But this is still going to be Talon just, again, cleaning up kills without really breaking much of a sweat. Cat with lots of time on the board.
It sounds like a very simple concept to understand, but it essentially boils down to win the fights you are supposed to win. And in some cases, lose the ones you're supposed to lose. And when you see Talon walking in, dropping EMPs, grabs, whatever ults they need, they win those fights, they get the right connections, and they are able to win when they are supposed to win. When you see Global Esports do pretty much the same thing, sound barrier in, tempo players, get them aggressively, use the nanos onto your tanks, pop the EMPs down, use the ults outside of the opening engagements on B, where Talon were finally forced off their DPS comps. Outside of that moment, it was never really working for Global Esports, no matter what ults they used, no matter what plays they made. And now we're starting to get some answers to the question we asked earlier of what happens when we go back into a bit of a mirror composition. In this case, 3-2-1, both teams playing Sombra Goats. Well, Talon just coming out well and truly ahead in every single fight.
The thing I find so incredible about this, about Talon, in fact, in general right now is, you know, in the last couple of weeks, as we've seen, you know, the new teams through trials start to pick up wins, we've seen some previously strong teams start to struggle more and more. It feels like the overall strength of the region, of Pacific, has increased. Anyone can win any match a lot of the time. And even then, Talon are still a cut above even that.
Well, that's the thing, right? Anyone can win any match, unless that match is versus Talon, in which case only Talon can win that match.
Might as well write bye in the schedule. Give Talon the...
A bye all the way to Gauntlet. I don't know.
What is it? What would 7... It would be 28-0 to get 7 matches, all 4.
Global Esports now are trying to avoid that situation. Look, map score matters, especially when, for most cases, you are fighting for second here. So getting above Xavier, getting above Nova, your next best competition, all of that, you certainly need a good score. And for Global Esports now, can they at least finish this match? Can we take this to a time bank? Patapan's just a little bit too elusive to start things out with.
Sneaky guy. Gives him the slip.
I want to see what opening rotation play Global Esports wants to make. They've absorbed now a Bione. Luke is safe for the time being. That's one thing off the table.
Global Esports, again, just eating a lot of pressure. Nice charge onto Muse. They get him just low enough, and Luke spots the opportunity. I like the confidence. And off the back of that, Global Esports are able to press an advantage here. And this time, Talon aren't just going to pull a fight out of thin air. They're not just going to be able to suddenly frag back.
And this is exactly the kind of fight I want to see Global Esports being able to win. They're going to sleep down into Muse. Great angle found by Xeonflux, who now leads a nano boost charge straight into a charge onto Muse from Luke to secure that kill, swing things in their favor. And you're right, there's no miracle plays from Talon Esports. There's no, you take one of ours, we take 2 of yours. It's just Talon, unfortunately, losing that point. Global Esports now pushing through snowball advantage.
Well, this is pretty good for Global Esports. They will still have to contend with Patapan's EMP, and he should be able to get the preemptive player. The Hacker Muse slows it down just a tad, though, so...
Both teams super... Oh, still gets it off.
Yeah, barely, but I mean, they still end up getting away with the play at this rate. They need to pick up a few more kills, though. I like the nano boost from Xeonflux. It's bought them a lot more time. Luke gets aggressive. This is really nicely done. Connects onto Muse with the charge. It was Gagora on his back from the shadow, but Luke needs to not overextend, but he seems to have played it just perfectly.
I was going to say, both teams are super vulnerable to getting EMP because there are no sound barriers available. Mango Jai doesn't even get a nano boost out in time to save Muse. In fact, has to use it on Gagora just to try and keep him alive, make sure that the Graviton Surge will be available. There's a slight little bit of time where before Commute has his, Talon can make some moves.
Hack on Faith, but he's able to fall back to his team just nicely. The grab is brilliantly timed there, just shy of there being a sound barrier.
No counter grab.
Grenade, I mean, they can't really do anything about it, so Talon don't get anything out from that one. Still looking for a way in. Now it's the grab to come out from Kim Yute. Still no answer on the side of Talon. It's a 1-for-1, but Muse definitely being the worst casualty to take there. Luke, another shatter. Looking to get the damage in as EMP comes across from Patapan as the Chaos starts to
be down, it's big.
Global Esports are getting the better end of the trades now. The shoe is firmly on the other feet as Global Esports start to walk all over Talon.
And this is now going super well for Global Esports. We see even CQB going down there, had the sound barrier. You needed to see that counterplay come through. Patapan got the opening EMP. They're still going to contest there. You do need to see the sound barrier.
Patapan instantly goes down. I mean, yeah, they need to put the sound barrier in, but when do they choose to commit it? There may just be now as they found the kill on Lil Rax. Try to keep the tempo up, keep Muse alive. Anything really? No. And now they're hacked out. They were waiting for the EMP before using it, but they do also get the grab off, which means it's looking like they will finally find a point of defense. And this is really important because actually, up till this point, Global Esports have done this faster than what Talon did.
And they were winning every fight along the way as well. Talon were barely slowing this one down. And the first time in the series across now 2.5 maps, this is the third one where you start to feel like, okay, Talon have just been cruising along. At what point does it get hard? Now is the point it gets kind of hard, and Luke has unfortunately, for Talon, been the point of failure for Talon Esports, and the fact that he's been taking down Muse quite a lot. Muse is often down, Luke is doing a ton of damage, and Global Esports still hold on to a decent number of ultimates, including Earthshatter coming online.
We have seen Luke get a lot out of his Earth Shatters. We actually really haven't seen Muse connect any. At least none that have been all that memorable. CQB looks for the boot play. Oh, Patapan down. Catch up with Kim Yute though as he throws in the grab. So,
big fire
away. Yeah, there's also a sleep onto Faith as well. That's a shatter coming out to finish off Little Rax. So, Talon kind of precariously balanced that defense there, but they do come away with the win.
So the good news is, because Patapan went down early, he isn't going to be using the EMP in that previous fight. We'll have it saved now for this one. And it also does come down to how cleanly Global Esports will reset themselves, and the answer is somewhat cleanly because the rest get away except Xenofly, so slight delay on getting their next EMP up, which is going to give space to Talon to maybe get a really good one themselves. Look at Faith though, that is going to be the counter they need.
At least they do have it. And then after that, they will have their own EMP from Xenofly. They will also have an EMP shatter play. Talon do not have that option.
The problem here is there's grab and EMP, and a sound barrier is only going to be effective for one of those. Once you have used a sound barrier, the secondary ultimate, whichever one it is, will come through for the cleanup.
And that is the unfortunate truth that Global Esports have to face, even though they have other ultimates. They have actually been able to charge up the EMPs. There's still the world where Xenofly gets the drop on Talon here.
Faith hacked, this could be the moment.
Yeah, they're going to go in for it, but Patapan did not find that in time, but Xenofly gets the connection. Nice charge from Luke to find Bashful. Talon have now lasted out that one as they trade back, and there's going to be the grab first. That gets the sound barrier. EMP came out a bit before that as well, so they don't quite get the cancel, but the biotic grenade and the shattered Talon still going to have no trouble cleaning up the points.
And this time around, okay, there's no diva there. You get the grab in there, Mango Jai finds the angle. Shouldn't be too difficult, because otherwise the layering of the ults was probably a bit of a mistake. You had EMP coming in, grab coming in straight away after that. Sound barrier counters both. Double value for Faith.
Yeah.
But it ends up not being good enough. And Talon now, off the back of being able to survive there, are actually in a now winnable position once again. You had kind of started feelings of doubt creeping in, but those doubts are somewhat subsiding now. 20 seconds in fact remaining, and Global Esports need to win.
Talon kind of have it all, as per usual, and this has now been, for what was a faster push from Global Esports, it's been a much bigger stall from Talon now, so making the rotation around to the carts.
Luke is very aggressive here.
They're not in range of it. Luke was trying to make the push in, but Talon actually did a really good job of pushing him a little bit away as he was making the rotation. I think the long rotation ended up maybe being the wrong call there.
But someone could have still, from the roof, I mean, they went long enough, they could have gone up the elevator. There's a lot, the problem here is that is one of the worst ways to actually lose here, because they had a chance. It wasn't a guarantee. There's no way. We could have gone to the overtime. It could have gone to point C. Maybe they don't even cap C. Maybe it doesn't matter. But in this case, you never want to lose because you couldn't get to the objective on time. And that is a really painful way to now officially lose the series. It's going to be 15 in a row for Talon Esports. 16 is looking closer and closer. They've now secured a 4-0 in the matches, still #1 on the leaderboard. Global Esports now are copying their first loss of the season so far. And Hollywood just feels painful because this is where we start to feel like a turnaround was happening.
Yeah, like Global Esports actually really stepped up to the plate for like the entirety of that offense until suddenly it just stopped happening for them. And I guess them's the breaks, right? Maybe it's just another symptom of the leaky boat. Like they were finally able to unfurl the sails and get underway. They got a good wind behind them, but the boat is still full of holes. And eventually you're going to take on too much water and slow right back down.
And it did feel like, how long does this pressure and momentum keep up? Because the closer we get to Talon respawns, the better they should be able to really anchor themselves down and be able to just stop the push from continuing to push through. Because at some point, Talon will catch up on ultimates. At some point, Talon will reach a breaking point where they've got the resources they need, they've got the positioning they need, they have the space control, and then suddenly your snowball has reached a conclusion, and that's going to be it.
Poop deck. Continue the nautical theme there. Midshipman. These are the other nautical terms I know. Coxswain. That's one of them. Commodore. Quite like that one. How you all enjoying these nautical terms?
I prefer nautical puns.
Spinnaker. Spinnaker. Okay. Yeah. Got the America's Cup.
Set your sights onto map number 4
on that map,
which is going to be Havana.
It's actually the most pirate-looking of the whole
rum. Bodico.
Yo ho ho, and a bottle of rum.
Rum Bodico.
Rum Bodico.
And
that is just the most outstanding pun, really. Don Rum Bodico. There's a lot of Rons in the rum world. It's like a Ron Macambo and like a Ron Zacapa. There's another one as well. I can't remember. It's like Don is close enough, right? I'll give them that because you can't quite call them Ron Rombotico. That just doesn't work. It sounds like a superhero.
Appreciate the alliteration.
Power of rum.
It is going to be now as we head into the final map. Final chance to get something on the board here. 1 point, 1 map win. Maybe put a stop to this endless win streak of Talon. Global Esports, you stepped up with Hollywood. Can you do it again?
Poop deck.
Already said that one.
Ah. There are actually cannons on this map. Forgot about that.
Yes, there are. None being wielded by Global Esports. Let's see if they can make this first defense viable. 3-8 a Bionade though, so probably not.
Yep, that's a big note there. In full retreat now with Talon absolutely bearing down on them. Inside track here from Muse. It's only a matter of time before someone else goes down. Luke tries to charge out to safety, gets shot in the back as he goes, and this gives the entire street all the way over to Talon.
By the way, and I may have missed this one, but I'm pretty sure CQB swapped onto Anna, threw the Bionade, swapped back onto Lucio, or start on the Anna, then swapped onto the Lucio to push in.
I think it did.
Which is
clever because
really
the Lucio
nice.
then gives you the momentum to follow up.
I'm surprised. I was like, well, Mango John's not playing the Anna, so where'd the nade come from?
Oh man, look at how low Little Rex got. Now it's just trying to regroup with the team.
Hadapan has Dragon Strike available, Nano Boost available for Xeon Flux as well.
In a really brutal position, Global Esports again have to just scatter their entire setup here. Now they're trying to dive onto the cart with it nearly capped. This is not the setup they want. Xenofly can't commit. He was too low, couldn't get access to healing. Luke dies on the front side of the fight. Kim Yute, I think it was his own right click that finished him off in the end. And Talon that take no casualties for the first 2 fights.
Global Esports just kind of sacrificed themselves on the cart there, where they took a long rotation through the hotel section and thought, hey, maybe we can do this and get the high angle. But as that happens, Dragon Strike splits everyone off. Talon then continue pushing, and by the time Global Esports are ready to contest, well, it's about too late, to be fair.
And I like that from Talon as well, getting right into the distillery here to set up before actually sending someone back to the cart ensuring that they could take possession of this ground. Global Esports have made a much more successful rotation this time around, though.
So Bashful was slept. He now takes a lot of damage as well. Shatter doesn't quite connect.
Yeah, double shatters in fact. Mango Jai at least has an answer into Transcendence. Now forced off the high ground, both teams in fact. Little Rags unfortunately takes too much heat from Patapan, and meanwhile Luke trying to bring the heat on the front side of the fight with the nano boost. That has now run out, but oh, what a catch. And Luke does also go down, having failed to finish off Muse. Now Kim Yu-tae shot the back, and again, Talon haven't lost a fight, indeed haven't even lost a member.
This now turned into a fishing boat with Patapan making the catch of the day. Global Esports now really just feeling the pain from that one. Talon Esports get to push through. This time with some losses. They didn't lose any members in the past couple of fights. They've definitely lost a couple now. But still, really not stopped.
So very, well, it's a sound barrier. Talon's still alive in this. Kagora finally goes down as the EMP comes across, and Global Esports, I think that was actually a bit of folly there from Talon to take that fight. They did have the grab and the shatter, but they didn't account for Global Esports having the sound barrier and also then having more ultimates for the counterattack.
That's the thing, right? Because CQB was on 96, so if he had his own sound barrier, that would have gone a lot better for them. They do hold on to now the the Dragon Strike coming into the next fight. We'll see how they plan to connect this one through. At some point, Patapan might look to swap, but to be fair, based on this current composition, Kagora is playing his heroes, so possibly can't make the swap.
That's the unfortunate reality, I suppose, here for Talon. If they do make the swap, they maybe need to put Kagora over onto a D.Va. We have seen Patapan play the D.Va somewhat passively, though.
Oh, you know what?
Might not even need to.
He doesn't need to.
That. They're doing plenty fine, and Talon are just looking to get back up to speed here, clipping along at a fair, I don't know, 10 knots. What's fast on the water? I'm not sure. 20 knots. That sounds reasonable.
Just keep going. 200 knots, 2,000 knots.
I think that's a bit too fast. No, I think like 50 knots is decent, because I think 20 knots is like, yeah, to go 5 knots if you're within a certain area of a marina. You know, I don't know. I do not know enough about boats, realistically.
But what we do know is,
because we live on an island.
What we do know is that gate, for some reason, goes into the ground down instead of up into. Never mind.
Don Rombotico is just that
didn't design his distillery very well.
Does he own this castle? Is that what's going on here?
No, Maximilian does.
Ah, right.
Talon Esports, so still well into
With
the lead
inflation,
here.
does he become
Maximilian owns this whole thing. This entire company is a front for his corporation.
Owns the entire.
Double support ultimates available. Xeonflux hacked out.
And Talon just looking to move back a little bit, give a bit of space and ready up for the counter-attack, but they're not going to get that opportunity just yet. They have to weather this nano boost first. Shatter up from Muse. Doesn't stop Luke, but it does stop Xeno flying with that Transcendence from Mango Jai. It's Talon making the tempo play, looking to push forwards and maybe retake possession of this castle. Do you think with inflation he will eventually become Maximilian?
I don't know. Maybe. The Global Esports, look, it might not have caught their shit, it might not have caught Luke, but it catches enough members that Luke has to watch the rest of his teammates go down. And now Talon, very likely to finish this map with a decent amount of time remaining. And look, we said most teams don't really look to finish here, but when you have this amount of ultimates available, and this amount of time remaining, you gotta say this is on the cards.
They just tossed the grab in, a nice successful one as well. Didn't get detected at all. Unfortunately, Kim Yu-tae also committed his, maybe regretting that, but thou canst unyeet what has been yoked. Talon are going to take that easily, storming the C fort now.
EMP Shadow's still available. This combo is like so key. And for Global Esports now, you're coming on the full stall heroes, you're trying to buy time. This is going to be a 2-minute plus time bank for sure.
It's absolutely gross. They've already demexed Xenofly before we even get out of the base. Now, oh no, man, they didn't even need it. They're just not even on the point. Well done, Talon. That was impressive.
Now that we're in a round swap phase,
what more nautical terms do we know?
I can expand on the Overwatch lore a little bit more now.
Yes, by all means.
Thanks to Alpha Sky and Ben Green from Contenders Australia. They brought this up on their cast, which was that this entire front, if you played the, the campaign level for this, when it was available, this entire, Don Rombotico, the entire rum, factory, distillery, whatever it is a front for Talon, and this is all owned by Maximilian, which is why he was driving through here when you're chasing him.
But is the rum any good? Because here's the thing, if the rum is really good and it's making a lot of money, at what point do you just give up the criminal enterprise?
Oh, you do both, and you use the rum money to fund your criminal enterprise. It's quite clear.
But it's like, one of those could put you in prison. The other one is just rum.
No, this is the world of Overwatch where
Look,
you don't think about things
here's
like
the thing, if he was only a run-mate,
Clearly, Prison...
then he probably wouldn't have had Overwatch after him.
Clearly, security and like authority doesn't matter in this world. Otherwise, talent wouldn't even exist. I'm talking about. I'm not talking about talent. The esports team.
Mafias and criminal syndicates do also exist in real
very
life. So it's
different.
not too
They don't
far
have
fetched.
superheroes on their team, right?
I mean, sure, but we also don't have like Cockney mid-20 somethings that can blink around and reverse time. Like,
Not
I
in
feel
this
like
matter, you don't.
I feel like a lot of Overwatch is somehow fictional.
Which is why I'm saying you would have a criminal organization that making money off run feeds your...
I feel like if the run was really bad, that
Anyway.
would probably be what gives it away, right?
Global Esports
Getting all this money
change up the composition slightly here. Bashful is actually going to be starting on the Batiste. And Patapan staying on the Hanzo. I mean, it has been working quite a treat so far, so keep that one going.
Oh, there's the catch onto Xeon Flux.
Fresh fish.
Finds his head. Robotic fish. I think there are other kinds of Omnics. Like, did they make ones
Yes,
that like?
there's
clean up
bigger
the-
ones that act as butlers for very rich cowboy.
like
people.
Southern US. I don't know.
about
Well,
Ash, yeah.
Texans.
Talon though, Dragon Strike nearly available here. First flight very successful. Global Esports for something maybe around the side.
Well, okay.
A lot of low members for Talon, but no one goes down.
Yep. Thank you, Immortality Field. And I mean, this is this is a masterclass forward hold from Talon right now. This is exactly what you want to be accomplishing. And I like what the Batiste offers them in this setup as well. It offers the Immortality Field. So even if things do start to get a bit dicey, you've got an extra window to finish.
Well,
them off.
that is a long cooldown. That's only going to be helpful slightly. I would personally still prefer the Brigadier, but hey, that's my opinion on this matter. They're doing enough damage. So far, it doesn't matter. Amplification Matrix available now.
Ah, this is a really gross angle. Just barely able to peek that around the stairs. Global Esports have barely made any progress.
And this is the worst kind of fight to lose, where for Global Esports it's kind of like your mid-rotation, you've lost 2 members, you know the rotation's over, you're not going to continue to fight, and then after rotating you have to now go back to your own base to meet your respawners. Wastes a lot of time.
And look, Talon can just keep checking which side they're going to come out of, whichever one they pick. The Dragon Strike's going to get committed there before too long.
You are worried now that a couple of ultimates starting to come online for Global Esports, and if those land, it does.
They certainly do. It's a nice grab, though. Stops him from following it up. Patapan did get the Dragon Strike stopped up, and again, the Immortality Field there as well. Nice transcendence from Xeon Flux to counter out the Shadow from Muse, and finally, a grab from Kim Butte that somebody can follow up on. Talon are finally going to get forced off this forward position.
And this is where, after the Shadow came down from Luke, it landed so well on all these members. They barely got saved. Even ate the Dragon Strike, which was a huge deal, by the way. That could have been something to maybe prevent the push from coming in. Got to be careful, Bashful's life does stay alive for the time being, but the grab then cleans them all up because Kim Butte popped someone out there. Talon had no more defense because they used it all to try and survive versus the Shadow first.
Very tight. They did have to use the Immortality Field, but it is just about to come back up anyway. And this is what it's the benefit of taking that forward defense is you now get the second one. So Talon have played this properly so far. Nice self-destructs.
Where's the damage though?
Flux goes down those. That's the first real casualty of the fight. And Talon are able to start committing into the ground game now.
And this is where you need to see, okay, Talon get a few more cleanups. They do get that one.
And, man, Luca's just too far forward here, unfortunately. The rest of the team may be able to retreat here. Xenofly certainly won't. In fact, I don't think much of this team is going to retreat at that point, so that's perfect. That's exactly what Talon wants out of this.
Without sounding too ambitious, we still need to look at the possibility of capping C, which is now dwindling.
Whoa, take it easy.
The reason is, well, obviously, I mean, we have a 2-minute 12 time back for Talon. Global Esports need to reach a time back to even be competitive. They are barely able to cap A here, 30 seconds remaining. Even if they get this in overtime, they go to B, they probably get B in overtime, then they probably don't get C at all. And this is assuming they get A.
Swashbuckler. That's another one. Talon now looking to, I don't know, buckle some swashes. Is that what a swashbuckler does? That's a really nice EMP position for Patapan. Completely cuts off Xeon Flux from his team, who at least doesn't go down, but Luke certainly does in the front line. Grab available for Kim Butte. Gonna have to commit it whether or not people have a chance of following it up. Gogora has one of his own. That's gonna be that. The full hold done. The buckle has been swashed. And Xeon Flux is just gonna chill out around the payload for a couple more seconds before inevitably going down to the briny deep. as Talon complete their 4th 4-0 of the season.
And the ship reaches the harbor here, 16-0, 4-0 on the match score. Undefeated in every possible way. They have not dropped a single map, and you're starting to think now, who can actually do this? Talon play Greenleaves next. They play Jupiter afterwards. That's probably 8 more maps for them. Nova, week 7, is going to be, at this stage, looking like the only real shot for someone to, at minimum, take a map off of Talon.
And I mean, after this week, it's looking less likely, actually, that is going to be that matchup that we thought it might be, the one where Talon might really get challenged. In fact, if you really want to take the sort of current meta rankings of the team, with Greenleaves having beaten Nova MS just this week and Talon playing Greenleaves next week, that might now be their most challenging matchup, unless, like we said earlier, Nova MS really recover
and
before
then
week 7.
The problem with this has been too much trading in between, and you'll see this now in our matches for the week now all completely finished up. Our results from